Hey, it's Jordan with TYT and TYT Politics. I am talking to you on YouTube. I'm talking to you on Facebook. Can't look at both of you at the same time, so unfortunately I'm going to have to side with YouTube today. I am in East Chicago where there's a lead contamination going on. It's been going on for almost a year now, and right now is a very pivotal time where, in my view, there is a gross injustice happening. So I'm here to spotlight that, and hopefully through the viewers and through our coverage, might even be able to improve the situation. Let me give you a quick recap if you don't know this story. Basically, East Chicago, Indiana, it's in Indiana. It's about 45 minutes from Chicago. So East Chicago, Indiana is a formerly industrialized city that had lead, a lead smelting plant, and lead emitters that were pumping lead all over the city. So, shocker, people got sick. You have lead in the soil, lead in the water, arsenic was found. And this all came to a head in July of last year, where although the EPA and the state knew about the high lead levels here for decades, they didn't thoroughly test. I wonder why. It's a poor black neighborhood, poor black and Latinas. So they didn't do thorough testing until last year. Well, when they did thorough testing in this complex, the West Calumet complex, there was 212 times the allowable limit for lead was found in the soil, which is bullshit. There should be no lead in the soil to begin with. Allowable is 0. So 212 times the limit. At that time in August, I interviewed someone from the EPA here. I said, how do you know this is just the soil? Did you test the water? They told me definitively, not a problem with the water, it's in the soil.
It's not similar to Flint. This is not a water pathway issue. They get Lake Michigan water. So there's no groundwater usage, so the water they're getting is not like from a well. They're looking at soil lead and kids playing in the dirt, getting it on their hands, putting their hands in their mouths, ingesting it, and then possible inhalation from any dust from that topsoil.
3 months later, lead in the water. Fast forward to now, this complex was condemned. So all the residents were told they have to leave as early as July of last year. First, they had 6 months, and then it was moved, and the deadline kept pushing. The housing authority here didn't exactly help or try to help these folks find new housing. We'll talk to a resident here about that. And now, although there were negotiations going on to try and let the remaining residents, there's 81 families still in this complex, low-income, African-American complex. The hope was that they could stay through the end of the school year, so they don't have to relocate their school children, and a lot of the school children here have learning disabilities. And 2 days ago, there was notices handed out here. I'm with Akeesha Daniels. You've been here for over a decade, right?
13 years to be exact. 13 years.
And I'll get back to your history in a second, but tell me about the letter you got 2 days ago. What did it say, and what's been going on since?
Well, first of all, the letter was handed to my 13-year-old son through the door. Someone knocked at the door and just handed him the envelope. The letter said that I would have to move to the Ardell Gardens in Chicago, Illinois, and that I would be responsible for the rent as of April 1st, and someone would be here to move me out between the 3rd and the 7th of April.
Was there anything else in there? Was, hey, this is the school your children is going to be going to. This is how we're going to take care of your health care going across state lines?
No, there was nothing in there. Nothing, just the letter telling me when I had to leave, where I would be moved to, and that they would show up, pack us, well, not pack, but they would show up and with a moving truck and move us out and take us to where we would have to be living.
And my assumption is they're not exactly moving you to President Obama's block in Chicago, that nice area of Chicago?
No, I've never even lived in Chicago. I've been in Indiana for almost 41 years. My whole entire life has been right here in East Chicago, Indiana. So I don't even know where to begin to even start looking in Illinois. I don't even know how to get to where this home is or apartment complex is.
And you really don't know if it's a safe neighborhood. You have 3 children, but 2 of them live with you.
Yes, I have I have three sons, ages 25, 19, and 12. Well, 13, I'm sorry. And then I have two that live with me, the 19 and the 13, I'm sorry, year old. But I'm concerned about their well-being. The 13-year-old has ADHD, asthma, allergies, and I'm worried about him not being placed in a school that would be able to suit his learning disabilities, or moving him from a school that he's been since the first grade. So he's used to the teachers. We have an IEP there, so I don't want to move him. I wouldn't like to move him right now because I think it would be devastating to him.
And by the way, if you're connecting the dots here, not just her son. There's a lot of children with learning disabilities, upper respiratory issues, behavioral problems, all trademarks of lead in your blood, lead contamination. And for years, nobody in this complex, nobody in East Chicago really thought anything of it. Just like, oh, our bad luck. And now you've been connecting the dots on why everybody's been sick.
Yes, I come to find out over 10 years they haven't been tested for lead. No one in the city of East Chicago, school age, were tested for lead or anything, and the city knew that this was built on top of a lead refinery. So for 10 years, my children haven't been tested for lead. So their levels could have been off the charts back when I first moved into the complex with him as a baby.
And I remember interviewing you here in the past. Your rental agreement actually said this apartment has been inspected for lead and all sorts of things, and it's fine.
It just said it didn't have any lead in it, but never once did it say we were on top of a lead refinery. Nowhere.
And when they dug up your bathtub, what was under your bed?
Dirt. There's no floor. There's no floor. It's just the same contaminated dirt that's outside is under my bathtub.
Contaminated dirt that they found 212 times the allowable limit for lead. Okay, so essentially, your housing voucher that they gave you is good through June. So technically, you don't have a choice. They are moving you to this area, this city in Chicago, this neighborhood in Chicago, and saying, oh, but you could still look. Well, they're gonna uproot your life to a place you've never been. You don't know the neighborhood. They're not helping you finding a school. They're not helping you transfer your Medicaid or any of that stuff. And then, just like that, they're definitely not going to help you in trying to find a permanent place. And all of this is happening after you were essentially poisoned. Am I saying Mike Pence was like sitting there with a grin on his face knowing? No, but there was gross negligence. And all for what? Have they given an explanation? What's the hurry that they need you out so soon?
No explanation. It's just that some of the residents were told this is the letter, this is where you have to move to. No explanation. I guess they feel like we stayed here long enough rent-free, so for the past 4 or 5 months, I guess they felt that was long enough.
Oh, so you were given rent-free. That's too much to give you considering all the things that have been done to you. And by the way, guys, share this video, send in some comments, send in questions. We want to get you in here too. So you're a nice woman, and I'm not a nice guy. Occasionally. So I'm going to keep it real. This would not happen in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. This would not happen in Ann Arbor, in Michigan. This would not happen anywhere nice if, God forbid, by the way, black people, white people, Latinos, nobody should have to go through this. So I'm not saying it's strictly on racial grounds, but the bottom line is if there was a certain echelon of society that this happened to, you know what would happen? They would come in, they would fix it, you'd get some smart waters delivered, and that would be it. And you want to know how I know that? Because the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence, who the media considers a choir boy. Have you seen on CNN? Oh, nobody told Mike Pence that Mike Flynn was talking to the Russian ambassador. He was totally in the dark. That's how they frame Mike Pence. And that's why Mike Pence has a fairly high approval rating for pretty sinister policies and actions. So let me tell you about Mike Pence. He was governor of Indiana. Did Mike Pence ever come here throughout this whole problem?
No, I saw him on TV in Chicago, and I think I can't think of where they had the tornado in the southern part of Indiana, but he went to visit them.
So there was a tornado in the southern part of Indiana in a white town, and for photo op purposes, he left the campaign trail, and he went to go help those fine people. You know what else he did? There was a lead in the water issue in Greentown, Indiana, which is predominantly white. Mike Pence went down there, fixed in 2 months. And I'm not saying it shouldn't have been fixed for Greentown. White folks deserve to be not have let in their water either. But look at the difference. So you guys, and I remember I was here, I was one of the first people here in August. There was mass confusion. There was no communication what was going on. Just, you guys got to go. This is not inhabitable anymore. The EPA had a trailer here, but they weren't communicating with the residents. The EPA, in their wisdom, told me this is not a water issue, but they never tested your water. Then in homes, it was found, because it's not just in this complex. Homes have been found lead, arsenic, and other things. So moving forward, you're a single mother, but I want to remind the audience, it's not just about your kids. Before you moved here to this complex, did you ever have any serious health problems?
No, not any. Not one. Just a common cold. Normal things that people have.
What happened to you right after you moved here?
After moving here, after giving birth to my son, I had a C-section. Then I had to have my tubes tied in 2005. And in 2006, I had to have a complete hysterectomy at the age of 29, which sent me into menopause and also gave me rheumatoid arthritis. So I've lost almost 50% of my bone mass.
And you're only 40, not to blow up your spot.
It's fine. I'm 40. Yeah. Yes, just 40.
Yeah. And I think why this is important is, you know, life happens and sometimes you get sick, but there was just, you know, I've talked to so many residents here. Everybody wondered, oh, that's weird that like, 3 or 4 40-year-old women on my block have the same cancer. That's weird. You know, you growing up in this complex, well, not growing up, but being here, tell me how many people had upper respiratory issues? How many people had the same issues with their children?
A lot of children have had a lot of ear infections, upper respiratory infections, and scarlet fever was common around a couple of neighbors that I've spoken with. But a lot of our children do have behavioral problems to the point where they have to be medicated.
And I'm assuming everybody here, even if you had Medicaid, have spent a few pennies of your own money for medical bills, behavioral bills?
Yes, yes. And moving me across state lines would be devastating to my son to not have that medication for at least a day or two. Who knows how he may end up without that medication for the time where I'm waiting for me crossing state lines to wait for Medicaid to kick in Illinois.